Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me? I'm not at home at the moment. I just have a quick slurp of my coffee. I'm at Tim's. So can you hear me and can you see me? And is all right? Give me a thumbs up if you can. I'm just going to do a few quick shout outs. I'm Lindsay Setchell, by the way, and welcome to day 11 of our mini live challenge. And there are going to be times, I'd love to do it always in my office, but there are going to be times when I can't. When I actually, sometimes I won't want to. I will want to be outside, but it's nice weather. And when I'm in New Zealand and when I'm in Australia, we still got to do the lives. I don't know what time we're going to do them. You just have to keep looking on the page to find out when I've gone, but you'll know when I'm there. So sometimes I'm going to be doing them in different places. So just let me know if you can hear me. Yes, here. Great, brilliant. You can hear me. Awesome. So let's do some shout outs. Sunshine's here. Hello all. Hello, Sunshine. Stella Galax here. Morning all. Sarah Lou's here. Ka-ching. Heather Swithenbanks here. Hello, Heather. Dawn Lim. Good evening, everybody. Shannon Shipper's here. Hello from a warm northern Alberta in Canada. Catherine Brown's here. Charlie Brown. Hello. Bonnie's here. Oh, I'm so sorry, Bonnie. I was meant to meet Bonnie this afternoon, and I've got a brain like a sieve right now. I can't remember anything. Bonnie will rearrange and sort it out. I do apologise.
My fault, Bonnie.
But Tim's shouting in the background, my fault, Bonnie. Blame him. It's I didn't have my phone with me either. Angela Moore says hi from Lake Ontario. So looking forward to seeing that one day. Ulrika's here. Hello from Britannia. Uta's here. Hi to be here again. Angie's here. Hello. Mary Ann's here. Lots of waves. Dawn Lim says, yes, I can. Sarah says, I can. Everybody can hear me. Jamie. Hi, Jamie Lemmer. Good to see you. Yes, you can see you and see good. Hi, Jamie. Laura Shillham says, hi from Olympia. Brilliant. Jenny Ackerstrom's here. Lydia's here. Okay, I'll do some more shout outs in a moment. All right. So today, what are we going to be talking about? We're talking about the link between hooves and horse behavior. Can you see me? Right, just move that around. Link between hooves and horses behavior. Always, when we're doing this, if you write in the comments, I will go back, or some of the team will go back and we will check the comments afterwards. So please do feel free to write longer comments. It's just that I'm not necessarily going to read out the longer comments. But okay, so I want to explain to you the connection between hoof issues and behavioural changes, because horses, they are incredibly sensitive animals. We know that. Although I think a lot of the time we tend to forget that, because they're quite big and they're quite imposing. And so sometimes we forget that they are really very sensitive beings. And their behavior often reflects their physical well-being. But we don't listen. And when we were talking in another live, was it yesterday? We were talking about listening to the hooves. It's important that we don't forget that ever. That in fact, we always must learn to observe and learn to see. And I have a saying where you need to learn to feel for the horse. And I don't mean feel the horse, I mean feel for the horse. And it's a really difficult thing when you're in my position as an instructor, a lecturer, and you're teaching people a very physical subject, as well as everything else that goes around with that. But you've also got to teach them something that's a little bit innate, something that you almost can't teach. And that is how to tune in to a horse. And so many times I've heard my horse can't stand properly. He can't stand, or my horse doesn't like having his feet picked up, doesn't like having his hind feet picked up, or my horse is really quite aggressive, or he bites, or he does this, and there are loads of reasons, loads of excuses followed by loads of reasons. And a lot of the time, when a horse's hooves are uncomfortable or unhealthy, and let's face it, frankly, that's a lot of the time, it can manifest itself in their actions. So I think what we need to look at is not always be thinking, and I can't bear it when I hear people say it's a naughty horse. It grates on me. I can't, I just, it's not true. Horses aren't naughty. They can be, they can try and think round and try situations and try and come up with solutions. And that makes them clever, not naughty. And when they are being snotty, when they stick their ears back, when they pin their noses and their nostrils and their mouths, and they're getting defensive when you touch them and they don't want you to touch them, we've really got to think to ourselves, it's not, don't have more of a go at that horse. Be thinking, what is it that's causing you to be like this? I have to tell you that there have been studies done looking at horse lameness using technology that can pick up slightest lameness or slightest asymmetry, in fact, which doesn't always lead to pain, but is asymmetry. And when, in particular, one particular study that I can think of that was done, I think it was a Swedish study, and they looked at a lot of horses, and they went to use this technology. They were looking to see if there are asymmetries in lameness, and they were stunned that many of the horses that were the owners and the trainers, etc., who applied to be in the study, because there were quite a few hundred, they were meant to apply to be, they could only apply if the horses were sound. And they found out that even without the subtle asymmetries or lameness that the kit could pick up, that the human couldn't pick up visually, they found that they were blatantly lame, obviously unsound, and owners and trainers hadn't picked it up. I see it a lot. I see just slight little changes. Now, part of that is because you get used to seeing horses that are off, and so people get used to seeing horses. I get used to seeing horses that are off, and I can pick it up. But some people get used to seeing horses that are off and don't see it as being off. They see it as being normal because they don't have a benchmark to gauge it on. And 9 times out of 10, it's coming from the hooves. It's coming from the fact that the hooves are uncomfortable and that the rest of the body is just a knock-on effect. So pain and discomfort can lead to signs of serious resistance. It really can. If a horse is in pain and it's in discomfort, they can get quite a lot of resistance. They can be bucking, they can be rearing, they can be refusing to move. It isn't naughtiness, it's not defiance. It's just their way of saying something isn't right. Something is probably hurting. Please, will you stop and understand me? But because so many owners don't really know much about the feet at all, they don't know where to start. So, and even when they do see lameness, they still don't know where to start. And oftentimes they'll call a vet, won't they? Or you'll call the hoof care professional, their farrier, etc., because they don't have the knowledge to work it out. And that's a shame. And that shouldn't be happening, because I have to tell you that half the time when the other professionals turn up, they can't work it out either. So it's very much so the blind leading the blind. And it can't be like that. You know, we have got to stop pushing horses through pain. So when horses go through this reluctance to move, they don't want to. I only saw a video the other day of a horse that was clearly lame and he didn't want to move, and the owner was pulling on his halter, forcing him, and the horse was doing the usual, look, I'm shaking, what can I do to show you I don't want to move? I don't want to walk. So my body's hurting, my feet are hurting, so I'm going to start shaking my head. And all the owner did was, instead of going, oh, it's all right, I understand, and then say to whoever was watching, it's clear he doesn't want to walk, leave them alone, take the halter off, let them do, and then video that. Instead of that, what they did was persist to try and make the horse trot, in fact, not just walk, but trot. We we shouldn't be doing that, and we shouldn't be getting to that stage. And if a horse is and learning whether the horse has got, and am I flicking in and out? I don't know. And learning the difference between, oh, I think I am flicking in and out. I think that's the internet connection. I'll keep going. Learning whether it's an abscess, which is incredibly common, or something more serious, which is down to incorrect hoof care. So if a horse is hesitant to trot or canter, it could be, and often is, due to soreness in their hooves. So pay attention to subtle cues like shortened strides, not wanting to turn tightly or turn a corner, shifting their weight regularly. Back. So shifting their weight. I'm sorry if it keeps breaking and I keep dropping out. I'll keep coming back. It's Tim's internet. It's crap. Rubbish. He's got one of those faces on. So pay attention to these subtle cues, because you do really need to understand them. And mood changes. I think, I hear it all the time. It's just a moody mare. Is it? Or is it a horse that's actually struggling and telling you that they're struggling? Horses that are experiencing chronic hoof issues may seem more irritable. They might appear a bit more withdrawn. I see a lot of horses that have switched off, that are just staring into space, because whatever's going to be done is going to be done to them, and they've just kind of accepted their fate. Or even when a horse becomes aggressive and won't let you near them, and is getting like, you're not going to touch me because everybody has just come along and picked that foot up and fiddled and faddled and dug, and I'm not having it anymore. You can go away. And so what do? We force them. We don't listen. We don't, twitches come out, all kinds of things, ear twitches, mouth twitches. We stab them in the stomach. We start getting aggressive. Not me, obviously, but it happens. And then the upshot of that is that horses tend to lose their confidence, because horses really rely, obviously, on their hooves for balance and stability. I always say to my students, it's an honor. It's an honor for a horse to allow me to pick their feet up, because the one thing that they need more than anything else is to feel that they have their feet so they can run and get away from this situation. So I find it an honor that they allow me to pick their feet up, because that is a really important part of their body. But if their hooves are weak or they're imbalanced, they might appear unsure. They might appear nervous, especially going over on uneven terrain. So these behavioral changes, they're not random. They're actually really standard and really obvious when you know what to look for, particularly when you do our job, when you go out and you see horses. That's how we can tell the difference. When a horse is really struggling to walk, and a vet comes to see it, they'll be labeled as laminitic. If they've ruled out abscesses or soft tissue problems, they'll label them as laminitic. And I saw over the years, I began to see these subtle differences between a horse that was sick, poorly, and a horse that was genuinely not poorly, but really, really in pain, and then those that have both. There's a difference. There's a difference in gait to a horse that's generally sick all over and just feet are hurting, inflamed, body's inflamed, they just don't feel well, to a horse that just can't walk because the hoof care is so chronic and so bad that P3, it's walking around on P3 and it's in agony. There's a big difference to what that looks like. And until you tune in and listen and see it, then we're not going to stop these problems. Okay, so let's have some more shout outs. Sorry if I'm looking down my glasses. I haven't got proper glasses on. It's looking to my bifocals like an old lady. Okay, where did I stop? I don't know where I stopped. Pia. I stopped at Pia. Hi, Pia. Hello again, and cheers to us. Cheers to Phoenix Warriors. Well done. It was great to see you this morning. Look, blooming cold. Tammy Keller's here from YouTube. Hello from Germany, Tammy. Hello. Anita Pepper's here. Howdy all on Facebook. Teresa's here. Hi from Sweden. Ali Halfpenny's here. Hello. Ramona's here from Spain. Hello all. Dawn says, hi, Tim. Sneaking past. They saw you.
Hi, Dawn.
He says, hi, Dawn. Probably heard that. Judy Dummermuth says, finally, I get to listen live just a little later. Hello, everyone. Hello, Judy. Sarah says, I've learned that truly over the last months with my boy. What, with Hamish or Squire? Probably Hamish, I would think. Lynn's here. Hi, Lynn from Maryland in the US. Dawn says, that grates on me too, Lindsay. I've never known a naughty horse. There is always reason for the behaviour. Always. If they are escaping out of things, it's our fault if we're trying to keep them in and they get out. It's not something that we should look at them as being naughty. We should say, yeah, that's very clever. You're very bright. I'm impressed. That's your thinking. Well done. I like it. It's us that have failed with the boundaries and they've just taken advantage of that. I'd rather see that than the horses that are so sad are the ones that are in pain, suffering, shut down, spirit gone. Those are so sad. Natalie Zimmerman's here also from Germany. Oh, that's my dog barking. She wants to go out. You're going to see Tim whipping past again now, so let the dog out. Oh my God, I have learned this with my boy back in the summer, though I never thought he was being naughty at the time. He was always trying to tell me something. Absolutely. But it's so sad. And I see it all the time. I see it on videos on YouTube and on videos on Instagram and on TikTok, etc. And you see people laughing at horses that are communicating or trying to communicate. And they think it's funny. It's not funny at all because that horse is desperately trying to communicate something with you and you haven't got it. So many people, and I would worry that more people that own horses don't read or understand them and can't communicate with them than people who can. So yeah, it's a bit of a thing. Camilla's here. Hello, Camilla. Hi from Sweden. Catherine Brown says, I feel most captive horses are not allowed the right to their own bodies or mind. It's only when they have to escalate their behavior that people might stop. Indeed. Because the subtle signs are being missed completely, but then the subtle signs of problems in the hooves are being missed completely. The subtle signs of problems in the body, the supraorbital dip starts to swell. Things are swelling on their body. The fat pads are swelling. They're getting redness, getting rings, and all those things are ignored too. Well, they're ignored because they might be seen, but they don't know what they are. So we must stop ignoring. Tim says, hello from the sofa.
Hello.
He's looking right at me. He's sat on the sofa. Tara Epp says hi. Look, I've got a horsey. Look, on my new jumper. It's a nice new hoodie that I've got. Catherine Brown says, I believe people think it is their right to make their horses do what they want regardless. Yes, and because they don't know what else to do. I want to go ride my horse. It doesn't look particularly sound. Crikey, let's get some shoes on it. Oh, that looks better. I can go out riding now. And the horse is still now starting to exhibit even more bad behaviours that the owner would see as bad behaviours. So what do? Use harsh attack, nastier bits, more tie downs, more things to stop that horse from exhibiting its issues and trying to communicate. It's so very, very sad, in fact. Pia says, I remember one mare who was so defensive, aggressive, that she didn't even try to tell anyone that something was wrong because no one had listened to her. I have a mare right now who was just like that, and she's changed in the last year, Broom. Then she had a new owner, and she's like an angel today, finally being treated like she deserves. Yeah, and what happens is we've got a horse that came out of the army, and she was a soldier when she turned up, a real soldier horse. She was she behaved like she was marching all the time, like she was going to be told off if she didn't do what she was told. And people used to groom the hell out of her because obviously, you know, they wanted to smarten her up, but she had this knee-jerk reaction to people doing that because nobody had ever listened to her, whether she wanted it or not. And so she used to swing around and try and bite them, but she was just posturing. She didn't actually ever connect, although I'm not sure I would have trusted that she wasn't going to. And I witnessed it with my own eyes. I went to stroke her on the neck the very first time I met her, and she whipped round. And I thought, oh, that's not happy behavior. A year, just over a year now, of living like a horse out with the herd, and it's gone. You can go and halter her, you can bring her out, you can do all sorts of things with her, and it doesn't even happen anymore. It's gone. That behavior is gone because she knows that the person that's handling her is listening and is trusting her, and we can spot things. Garvin says, Garvin Ranch, hello, I've learned to pay more attention to naughty behavior after watching the short documentary 24 Horse Behaviors, all about pain signals. Oh, that sounds good. I haven't seen that. No, now one of my hills to die on, and I've caught some flack. It's my hill to die on too. Catherine says, I agree, it's so sad. And Garvin says, yes, it's so sad. And I'm saddened that I fell into the previous category simply because I didn't know what I didn't know. I know, you don't know what you don't know, but you do now because we've got all these lives, etc., and you're really starting to learn. So let's get back to the topic before we go on too long, like usual. So let's discuss some of the specific hoof problems and the behaviors that it might cause. Let me just have a little sip of my coffee. Hold on 1 second. Otherwise, it's going to go cold. What about thrush? Let's think of some triggers. So horses with thrush, which is a trigger, they often show sensitivity in the front and a reluctance to place weight on certain hooves. So that might present itself as uneven movement or favouring specific limbs, or is awkward at picking their feet up because they don't want to lean on the horse that's got thrush, or really getting a little bit aggressive because I don't want you to touch that foot because it's really sore. And you're just going to pick it up and poke it with your hoof pick, and it's just going to hurt more. So I'm going to get really quite funny with you. And Pinky barking again, just wanted to come back in. Up, down, darling. And so it takes you to step out of your box to go, actually, the reason that horse is behaving like that is because he's got awful thrush in his feet. It's sore, it hurts. Thrush is agony. What about laminitis, of course? Whether we are talking about feet that are and body that is inflamed systemically because of diet and management incorrect, they're not feeling great, the guts aren't great, they're feeling a bit poorly, or whether we're talking about terrible incorrect hoof care causing inflamed laminite, or a combination of the two, horses that are really feeling inflammation in their feet are going to stand awkwardly. They're going to shift their weight, aren't they? They're going to try and relieve pressure on their affected hooves. And so they might also seem a little bit lethargic or generally unwilling to move. And I'm so sad when horses are trying to communicate that they are sore in their feet, and the way that we react is by making them wear shoes. That saddens me. If a horse is struggling to walk across a concrete yard, which is flat, and they're struggling, And our response to that is, let's stick shoes on and raise that foot off the ground, and that appears to have fixed it, which we know hasn't, rather than going, blimey neck, what am I doing? What am I allowing to happen that's causing that horse to be so bad, even on flat concrete? That's where we should be stopping and going, crikey, I don't going to ride that horse. I'm going to immediately look at my diet and management and see what the hell it is that I'm doing wrong, so that I can have a horse that can walk barefoot across all sorts of ground, but certainly concrete. What the hell am I doing wrong? But we don't think like that. We go, oh, quick, put a shoe on, and that'll fix it. It's not the way to be. We talked about hoof cracks, haven't we? And we've talked about imbalances. And these themselves, again, can lead to subtle changes, like a reluctance to pick up their feet, or reluctance to take on a specific lead. Difficulty in turning in one direction because you're putting force on those areas. Sole bruising. If it's redness we're seeing through the sole, because when we see sole bruising, folks, it's history. It's not something that's happened yesterday. This is historical, because it's got to grow up through the solar plates until eventually you see it. And if it's pigmented, you're not going to see it. You only see it in unpigmented feet. I think people think that when they see a sole bruise, that horse is immediately tender on that. Usually they're not. But if that sole bruise is a continuous thing, and sometimes the bruising is continuous, then yes, there may be soreness there. But we're only going to know these things if we take notice and we are being more observant. So we need to connect. We need to connect with these behaviors so that we can connect with the horse, and then connect those behaviors to the hoof issues or hoof health, so we can really better understand what our horses are trying to tell us. I think just to highlight the importance of resolving hoof issues to improve behavior, one of the things that I see, or I hear over and over and over and over again from owners that begin to do this and begin to change the diet and the management and have better hoof care, is that the first thing that they notice above all else is the behavior of the horse changes and improves. I remember a scenario where this poor horse had been kept in a livery yard for quite some years. Her owner loved her to pieces. She had all the latest rug colours for each season. You may have heard me talk about this before. She looked after her as like a princess, like a human princess almost. She was never allowed to be with other horses. She was put out on little patchwork quilts, and for over 10 years hadn't touched another horse. She got terrible hoof care and dietary issues as well, and was really quite aggressive to other horses. And the owner had stopped taking her to shows because she was just too aggressive. So once we had her moved to a better environment and she became sounder and she stopped thinking about her feet, suddenly the behavior, well, suddenly, but gradually the horse's behavior began to improve. And I remember the owner saying to me this one day, not that long really into transitioning, and she said, I took her to a show. She said it was like having a different horse. I stopped taking her to shows because she was this fire-breathing dragon every time she got off the horse trailer or the horse float. And now she doesn't care. She chills out. She's not bothered anymore because she's calmer. She's getting the right diet. Her feet aren't hurting. She's not defensive all the time, and she's with other horses, so she's getting that fix as well. It's sad that we see so many horses. People love horses and they want to love them, and yet they're keeping them in a manner that is not conducive to good health for their horse. So it's sad. If we can relieve pain, we can improve trust. When a horse knows that we're addressing their discomfort, and they do, They really do. They're more likely to trust us. And when we can learn about a balanced hoof, that can then lead to better movement, obviously. Balanced hooves, better movement, take away the pain. Proper hoof care, really good proper hoof care, really developing the horse's natural foot is what we need to do. And that then can help the horse move more comfortably. And that can reduce this frustration and this resistance under saddle a lot of the time. So preventing future problems is what we really need to do. Regular trims, regular right trims, natural trims, balanced diets. So we're all working together, and appropriate environments that help prevent these hoof issues that can trigger these behavioral changes in the future. So when we prioritize, and you've heard me say this so many times, when we prioritize hoof health, we're not just addressing a physical problem, we're fostering a happier and a more cooperative horse. We need to start observing and start listening to what we're seeing. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed today. Let me have a quick look. There are some more shout outs I've got to do. Sarah Lou says, CPL and incorrect hoof care that stops these big cobs being able to engage the back of the hoof where it's so vitally important. Then they are just shoved around and viewed as stubborn. Well, you know that. You've experienced with your big cob finding out that he's got feet that were hidden inside these great big lumps that were not flexible. The hoof mechanism had been shut down, and he's got CPL. You inherited that. And now you've learned, Sarah, by going through all of that stuff that he had, that extra foot that just kept coming and just kept showing itself. Now you've got a foot that is half the size that it was before, and likely the reason why your horse was suffering from those issues that you inherited. Anita Pepper says, what do you recommend to relieve pain from laminitis? Diet and good hoof care. Diet and management and good hoof care. They all go together. If you're not getting on top of it and your horse is having recurrent episodes of it, you need to speak to somebody like us who understands what we're looking at to tell you whether the hoof care is wrong, number one, and secondly, to talk to us about what their diet is so that we can tell you how that's affecting them as well. So put up a post in the Phoenix group and we'll talk to you about it there. Ulrika says, I saw a young KWPN horse, 4 years old, client's horse, shod and all four, not grounded, terrified at the idea of leaving the stall. I told her to pull the shoes. She needs to contact the ground. Absolutely. That's really important. Really, really important. Dawn says, thank you again. Thank you so much. Saskia says, hi from Germany. I experience it's also with spookiness, increased spookiness. It's often due to hoof issues. You've got it. 100%. Because they don't feel comfortable on their feet, and so they're more nervous. Jamie Lemmer, hi, my lovely, says, what are your thoughts on encouraging a horse to move more, a laminitis horse, via use of a herd track, good food, good hoof care? You mentioned if they don't love to move, leave them be, which I understand, but we need that hoof to grow. Yeah, you take away inflammatory foods. It's a process. You get that foot to where it needs to be fast at the back of the foot. The front of the foot may look crazy as hell, but ignore that. You get the back of the foot where it needs to be really quickly. And then you encourage them by putting little piles of food, not too much in one area so that they are going to stand there and just eat, just little piles, not too far away. So they've just got to, they can eat this little bit and then they see another little pile over there and then they just move around, move a little bit further to get that. So little piles, even if you're in a small area, that if they're really sore, little piles, not big piles, not right next to each other, enough apart that they can see them, smell them, and want to move to them. So that's what I would do. I've even in the past resorted to taking little bits of carrot or vegetable and placing them on top of these little piles to encourage that kind of movement. That's not something I would say to do constantly, but certainly for horses that are suffering. Okay, gotcha, says Jamie. Warsha Joshi says, Friends, Forage, Freedom, Barefoot, been on this journey for nearly 6 years. Jamie Lemmer has been God sent through this. Brilliant, you guys. You're doing a fabulous job. It's wonderful to hear. Okay, so I'm going to go. Thank you so much for being with me. Thank you for joining me and for exploring this really important topic. And observation is key. Tomorrow we're going to dive into something else. If you found today's session really helpful, then please do like, share, tag a friend who might benefit from it. And together we are going to 100% create healthier, more harmonious relationships with our horses. Open our eyes. That's what we need to do. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day. I'm going out now for the evening. Tim's taking me out. And wait, he says, and I'll see you. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care now. Bye-bye.